Hello, everyone. Welcome to the importance of the king's activity in the endgame. Now, this is a concept which is probably not very straightforward and might be some complex for our novices and intermediates friends. Nevertheless, still important to mention and perhaps to understand when we get into that stage of the game. Again, in the opening and the middle game, you don't want to venture with the king. The king needs to be nicely tucked away, castled. Remember to castle your king quickly as you can. And in the middle game, do not move the king unless absolutely necessary, but towards the end. In order for you to capitalize, to be attacking some pawns of your opponents, you will need to activate your king, they say, in the ending. Now, let's just look practically at a couple of situations, and I'll try and explain as clearly as possible. So let's have a look at this position here. We're moving king to e5 here. And although it might look a little bit crazy, why would you do that? What if they check me? Well, even if they check you, you will definitely get on f4 and then taking the f3 and going to g and taking on h. So that's what you want to do. Now, luckily, you've got a black queen here defending this pawn, guarding this square so you won't be getting checked by the white queen on the f file. So it's totally worth investigating this idea. Even if they go for the g7, remember you activate your king and you're going for your opponent's weaknesses, which is this pawn here and this pawn here, whilst the black queen keeps everything under control, so to speak, protecting the pawns, namely b6, h6, and this guy right in the middle, and also covering a lot of very important dark squares. So that's one example. You should be able to marching the king on the g and attacking the h3, okay? And then the other pawn might be also subjected to some attacks, and you should be able to capitalize on this one. Next situation, my friends. This is a lovely, lovely, lovely position here. And we need to understand that black's weakness, where we try to get and attack it, is this pawn on c5. How to attack it? Well, first thing first, you're going to move your king to c4. Why? You're fixing a weakness. You're already planting an attack. That's very important. Now you might say, yeah, but they're going to get the rooks too. Well, if they move the rook here away, let's say to the B, to the A, or anywhere else, you will take this pawn, and then you'll be threatening to take the other guy, the other pawn with tempo, and then, you're just going to be marching and promoting. So it's very difficult for black now to defend. And if they try to eliminate the weakness by playing h5, therefore g6 protects, now you're going to play something very sweet. Rook h to e1, aiming to plop the rook on e5 and really targeting the c5. They can't stop you. You've got a helper. And now if you tell me, yeah, but they're going to get the black rook here on c8. They actually won't. And even if they do, it doesn't make a bit of a difference. Let's just imagine they would do so. You play a check. You play check. You've already attacking twice here. If the king moves away, thank you very much. You're going to take that pawn. If rook takes, king takes, you're going to take the other pawn too. Thank you. If the king gets in front, it's a disaster. You're going to take the pawn with check. King steps aside, get the rook, king takes, and then you're going to take this guy with two passes. You are definitely going to win. Okay, another situation here, my chess friends here. Now, this is one of those situations, if you play correctly, you will draw. You can't force any progress. The problem is, for black here, that white has a passer, and this guy is actually what stops you from winning. So you will have to practically keep the rook here on the b file, all the time. So let's just continue. Now you are in check. You're going to go g6, advances, you take that pawn on f2. Now you're not going to take here because it's getting really, really funky. If you were to do this super mistake, they're going to go one more time. And if you say, yeah, but I'm going to stop them, you just don't have to. Oh, sorry, you don't have the necessary tempi to do that. If you're going back, even on the f1, it's too late. Check. Even if you attack, pawn advances queen. So don't get excessively greedy. Be very careful. You must play the rook here. Now, they advance. Another very important detail. You must now move the king over to h5 very quickly. If you just play, let's say, another move, let's say h6 or h5, we got a problem. If you were to do that, again, remember, rook g8 check, even if king attacks, you're going to be pushing the pawn, promoting into a queen, and if rook takes, and practically rook and king, and two pawns versus king and three pawns is going to be a win for white. So with the correct play, you should be able to draw here, provided you get king to h5 first. The next exercise, my friends. Now, another important position here, because you may say, well, what on earth do? I am in check. Yes, you are in check, but you've got a beautiful pawn here on c6, eager to going forwards. I got some news. What if you just maneuver the king in such a way that actually you are able to actually support this pawn? For instance, if this were to happen and black rook checks you, you're going to move like this. And if they check you again, you're going to go via to this way. And if they check you with the other rook, you're going to go this way. And they would have to make some space, and you will be able to push the pawn. Very, very important. I know it looks crazy, but actually it's very much playable. Okay, so just keep this in mind. It's just another brief idea. Here, in this position here, you've got two very good choices by one, but one is by far the best here. You may elicit the trades of the rooks by playing rook to d7, but the better one, a much better one, is actually winning a tempo, a square, a very important square, centralizing, activating your black king by playing king to f8. And in this fashion, you're actually attacking two pieces. They will have to choose, they will have to save the white rook, and now you are one step closer to supporting the pawn's advancement. But first thing first, you're going to play something like rook d7, hitting the rook, hitting the knight. Now you just take the rook, and it should be absolutely super cool. Your king is more towards the center. This guy is a passer. You've got a knight, and king activity matters absolutely. But this passer is actually incredibly, incredibly important. Next idea here, guys. Now, you got a sort of a status quo. You don't want to mess around very much here on the king side, but actually on the queen side, there is some interesting idea. I don't know, guys, if you noticed, but the black king now, it's ready to playing a wonderful odyssey, because practically the weaknesses for white now are pawn on e4 and the pawn on b2. So actually, you can very well summon the king and ask them to actually do their job, and actually the king would be very happy, for instance, to just playing this kind of ideas. And even if the white rook would be to defending, you just go forwards and you attack b2. They can't defend two weaknesses at the same time. So this kind of concepts might not be very, very easy to comprehend and get them in a, in a single lesson, but as you persevere, play, analyze your games, and look at various exercises, you might be just able at some point to simply put it in your own game. So let's try another exercise. Why not? Beautiful. Now, black defends the d5 pawn, which is that's a weakness there. So you would like to actually make your king very strong. But sometimes it's important to play, for instance, a pawn sacrifice to deflect the king from defending important squares. For instance, if you're to do b5 now, you would check the black king. They can't just ignore that move. They can't just ignore it. It just doesn't make any sense. Disaster. They can't ignore it. So they must take the pawn. When they do so, very important, don't just rush to take this pawn here with the knight. Just try to get access with your king. That's incredibly devastating and very problematic for black, because they won't be able to actually successfully stopping your king from playing to e7, attacking those two pieces. And this is really, really, really a big problem for black. You should be winning here. Next one, which is, I think it's my favorite from all these exercises we're doing today. This is my favorite, because if like one or two puzzles ago we sacrificed the pawn, well, the previous one, here you're going to sacrifice more than a pawn, but it is absolutely justified. So this is a proper piece sacrifice. You sack in exchange here. You're going to play knight to e5. Okay, that looks incredibly unbelievable. I mean, what do we do? I mean, the knight is 3 points, right? Why would I do that? Well, in the moment they accept it and you take it back, you actually have tremendous king activity. Remember, in the ending, the king's activity is paramount. You're going to play, for instance, d4. You're going to be attacking this one here. They can't defend all the time. They can't defend all of the weaknesses. And if this guy falls, you're going to go for the other pawn, and you're going to have two nice passes here. If they ever capture, you're going to take back, and the king has to deal with those two black pawns. And whilst they're busy with these pawns, your king will be marching, attacking this guy and attacking this guy. The black knight won't be able again to just hold on the position. They won't be able to be in two places at the same time.